Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, peasants and squires. Welcome back to the Flow State Gaming Podcast, the number one up-and-coming Valorant podcast, if not already the number one Valorant podcast. My name is Rogan Prescott, also known as Destroyer of Nations, and the Commander of Peasants. Joining me today would be Coulter. However, he has made a transition that I fear is not going very well. He's made a transition to be a dirty Fortnite swine. He's moved on to the Fortnite because I've realized his claws can only dig so far. His claws have reached a limit on grabbing onto my back and just lifting himself to the reaches of gold. And it's sad. It's just sad to see that everything comes with repercussions, right? He's digging onto everyone's back. He's just trying to scramble up, and now it's going to hit him hard. So he's realized he can't get better when he's grabbing onto those backs. And he's resorting to a game where dirty swines live and just and play around with each other. And he's in a dark place right now. So we just need to all, have a little moment for him. Just keep him in the back of your head. Just wishing him luck. Hopefully he might come back next week. Who knows? We don't know what's gonna happen. Coulter is a wild card. It's gonna so I'm just gonna have to carry this podcast, is what I'm saying here. I usually do. It's kind of becoming evident because of that. But yeah, we're gonna get right into it. It's gonna be a little interesting episode. Normally we haven't done this before. It's gonna be kind of a Q&A episode, and it's gonna be about the ranking system. We've gotten some updates, some forums about how the Valorant ranking system works, and we're gonna get into it. I have brought on a guest today. He is a friend of mine. He is a fellow brother. He's also a peasant, like you all, so you guys can relate to him. He's also a cousin, however, too, and best of all, he is the designer of this beautiful logo we have come to see. He is the founder of Electric Graphic Design, and he is a filthy man on the keys. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Connor Schweitzer here. Wow, Connor, you are looking real good, man. Just say hello. Give us a little introduction about yourself, how you've came to be a part of this Valorant life, and the struggles that you've run into.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Connor. I have made the transition from the dark woods of Overwatch, where I was plat, mainly playing a support role, and I've been sucked into playing Valorant with these guys, with the rest of the fam. I've been playing video games all my life, and designing for about 12 years. I'm a lowly bronze 3. So as much credit as Rogan gives me for being hot on the keys, I am definitely a peasant rat, and I got a lot of questions.
Well, you've came a long ways, Connor. Where did you start at, man?
So I started out, man, what did I place into? I want to say that my initial placement was like Iron 2. And I think that most of that was due to it's so fast, when you come from a game where it takes seconds, or it takes multiple seconds versus milliseconds, right, to die. That time to kill so much different.
Yeah.
It's been a hard transition.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we've talked about it before on the pod on how hard this game is. It is similar to CS:GO. It just requires, that the precision gameplay that Valorant advertises. You do have
Yeah.
the lucky headshots where you can get, the running one tap with the Vandal. And I've seen a lot of
Yep.
jokes behind the precision behind that. But
But it's
yeah,
true, right? I mean, it really is a game where you got to be quick on the sticks, which I think makes it challenging and fun.
yeah, and dude, I've seen you grow. We played some games together. You have definitely gotten a lot better. And I think like you are a solid silver player in my opinion, and I think it's gonna go well with this episode, so we can kind of hear, I don't know, where the rank should distribute people or how it does distribute people. I think you're a really good gamer, and seeing you in bronze, I think you can climb a lot more. That's what I'm saying here. Um, and we'll get to that. So some announcements we have here. I personally am not doing so hot in Valorant. I've been hard stuck for a while. I think I've it's there's not really much announcements for me in Valorant because I keep on saying Plat 3, right? and and I got to Diamond. I got to Diamond 1 again this act. I got my act rank, my whole act ranks filled out in Diamond. And I just dropped last night because I clicked on play again, and I shouldn't have because I was tired. And we all
Oh,
know
you had that
when that
moment. That
finger
moment.
hovers
Yep.
above that mouse and you're,
And you know you
should you
shouldn't,
do it? Yeah,
but you
you
want
shouldn't.
another W. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah,
man.
those are rough. I think that um I topped out. I was one game away from gold. So I was at the doorstep of the castle, and I got kicked back down when this new act opened up, and I'm trying to scramble back up there.
Yeah, man. And then okay, so one other announcement. So we have made a Discord. We have made a filthy flow state gaming Discord here. And it's in the works. It's just kind of released here, and there's not so like the best way to climb is to queue with at least one person. Solo queuing is always hard, right? It's a very rough gamble. You're kind of just rolling dice, and hopefully you get all sixes. And if you don't, then you're not going to be doing good. You're going to get smacked. And this is a one personal struggle that I have been dealing with. And Discord makes it really easy to communicate with each other and find some people to play with, which I want to kind of start pushing is that all of us peasants, well, you peasants, sorry, you peasants, I want to see you peasants, like thrive. I don't want to see you guys just be down in the dirt, like you guys will be down in the dirt anyways, but I want to see you guys like at least rise a little bit, kind of get some unity there, share some pieces of bread with each other, just some unity between that. There's a lot of separation right now. So if anyone who listens to this, just join our Discord. There's a link in our Twitch about section, flow_state_gaming, and just say hi and then give your rank and pretty much just your rank, who you play, and kind of like how long you've been playing, and then you can kind of communicate with each other and we can queue up. If anyone's toxic in there, I'm just going to ban them right away because they don't deserve to be there, right? We are humble peasants. Not just peasants, we are humble. And that is what I'm trying to push here. Connor, have you had the struggle of the solo queue life, or like what's your biggest struggle with clicking that start button when you're the only one in there?
Yeah, that's it's a tricky one. Um, coming from playing a support role, I think that my knee jerk reaction is not to be a fragger, right? Like I'm not just insta locking Jet. I'm not smashing that mouse so that I can be the Reyna that everybody's being. I like to play Killjoy. Um, I'm working on some Astra and some Cypher, so I think I definitely feel it. Um, solo queuing as, that sentinel role is really tricky, because maybe I'm having a great game. I'm doing well. I'm doing my call outs. I'm placing my traps so we can get some good info, and it doesn't matter because I'm not playing a character that's set up to carry.
Yeah.
um, and it's rough.
And you really like those, like, I mean, you do come from Overwatch. Overwatch is a very team oriented game as well, and it does, like, Valorant is the same way, where if you're playing a sentinel, you're not really helping out the team if, like, your team's not communicating with you. And this is why we're seeing more duelists. And, like for me, I want to play Raze, because playing Omen, it's just not fun, because I like no one's like everyone's just getting annoyed at me, maybe if I like place a smoke here when they want to smoke here, and
Yeah.
they kind
Well,
of
and
just, yeah, go
it's
ahead.
exactly. I mean, it's exactly what Coulter was saying. I think it was the last pod where, unless you've got a couple people in a stack, you're just not being rewarded for playing those other roles.
Yeah, yeah. And this is why we want to see a switcher. It sucks, because it's just like no one's gonna play a sentinel, and Valorant's really wanting to push it, but there's not really a good way to do it. I was thinking, like, people in the chat, what would you guys think about if they made it so you have to play? You only can have like two or three duelists, and then you have to have a sentinel, have to have an initiator or whatnot. It's an interesting idea, because then
Yeah.
it does mess with team compositions, because then you can never do, like, out of the water duelists when, like, you guys want to, because it is sometimes fun to go that route. But it would make it more of a team oriented game, maybe, or maybe like you have to have a mic to go for it. Yeah. Just some experimenting would be great, Lingo, in the chat. For sure. So, Connor, for the hot drink section, we can never compare to what Coulter has to bring in here. Coulter is a filthy man in the hot drink section. I think he's an
Ice is gross.
MVP.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
So I
He's
don't
holding
think
it
I can
down
give that justice. I don't think you
with
can. I don't think anyone can.
the
What do you have to
DPPR.
drink, though? I
You
I'm
know,
curious.
yeah, I'm a big fan of the light roast. Myself, I do have a single origin. This is a fancy one. It's Guji Ethiopia from Kuma Coffee in Seattle. Just gonna throw that out there. This is uh it's a good one. I'm enjoying it. Um I'm also one of those filthy coffee addicts that has a subscription. So
Oh
I get
my, is that a
some.
decaf? That's not decaf, right?
It's not decaf. I'm
Okay,
gonna be
good.
up late
No, this
tonight.
is good.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's what we like to hear, right?
Yep.
Coulter's not committed at all. That's why he went to Fortnite. Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
It makes
yeah,
sense.
yep, it makes sense. I obviously don't really know what I'm drinking, because if it's a bean, then I put it in. I just click the 10 shotter button and I
Plain
just
old
let her
bean.
run, I don't really care what's going to be in there. If it's caffeinated, then I'm going to be good. Because, the saying goes in the Flow State Gaming podcast, another blowout, another day, right? And another day, another win, another rank. That's what we want. So I'm keeping it at the blowout a day. And I'm not I'm not gonna push this push this blowout section too much. I'm just gonna
I
leave it
think
at
we need to
that.
make T-shirts.
Well, yeah, that'll be on you. I'll
Put
hit
a
you up for that.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely put in the comments if you would like a blowouts T-shirt. We can work on the phrasing. But I know a guy.
What would the graphics look like around there? I mean,
I don't
how
even I don't
detailed are
even
we getting?
dare
That's what
to.
I'm
I don't.
worried.
I think that we want to keep it, kind of leave a little bit to the imagination. You don't want
Okay.
to spoil the whole thing
Dude, I think
for
we go the route with just like
for the viewer.
one t-shirt limited time, and then just like post it on the
Absolutely,
store
it's a
one
collector's
time, and
item.
whoever gets it
Absolutely,
will probably never wear it in their life, because it'll be that
one
filthy.
run only. Get it while you can.
Yeah.
20 years from now when Flow State Gaming is running at
It's
the top
yeah.
of Twitch, you're gonna wish you bought one
Exactly.
for
Oh, all
sure.
right, man. Let's move on. That kind of covers it for the little introduction there. So, like I said, we're gonna be talking about rank system. There was an Ask Valorant, which is kind of why Connor and I both want to talk about this. Um, so the first question that this is to Ask Valorant. It's pretty much just one question that Valorant responded to pretty extensively, and I'll just read it here. I get less rank rating per win and more per loss, and it feels like the system is holding me down. Why is that? So I've noticed this as well. It's just he's saying like whenever you get a win, you get like 17 rank rating, you lose, you get negative 21. And like let's if you're winning 50% of the time, you're going to be going downwards. And like that's not what you want cuz the average win to loss is 50%, right? So you're going to be going down if that's the case, right? So they this is a response. Buckle up. This answer will take a little wrinkle brain highway. We're going to get the little we're going to get a little in the weeds and have to explain how our rank system functions in order to answer this. So we're just going to go through this. I'm going to do a little introduction and then I can give I'll just ask your thoughts, Connor, and you can kind of give what you take. So starting out, a lot of you guys know this, but pretty much almost all competitive games they have kind of like a rank that shows your rank, and then an MMR, which is like a hidden matchmaking ranking, and that's what we're gonna talk about here. Okay, so MMR is supposed to be your personal rank. It's kind of like what I picture it as is just a ladder is what a lot of people call it, or just a fat leaderboard. Like imagine a leaderboard with every single player who's ever made an account on here, and they're just listed and they're put in a seed, and that's their rank. And if you win a lot, then you're going to be moving up. You're going to be above that player. And that's kind of how MMR works. It's hidden, so you won't be able to see it. So pretty much the reason why we are seeing us lose more is because our rank is higher than our MMR. So what it's doing is that let's say your MMR rank is around like a silver 2, right? And you play a lot, you get 10 wins in a row, you're up to gold 2. And you're at gold 2 right now, and then you lose a game and you lose a fat amount, you win a game and you only go up a little bit. That's saying the system's going to go against you because it's kind of like pulling you back because it doesn't think that you belong there. So you need to win consecutively or win, lose in gold and get like a lot of wins in that gold rank, and your MMR will slowly move up with you. And when that moves up and you're still in gold 2, then you're going to be receiving like 20 rank rating points for a rank up or for a game win, and then 20 negative rank rating if you lose. Because your MMR is caught up, so it knows that you're in that same place, so the system's not going to go against you. And then same goes the opposite way. If your rank is lower than where your MMR is at, then and you win a game, you're gonna get a lot more rank rating. And then if you lose, you're gonna get less because it doesn't think you belong there. So I have never really understood how rank systems work, and I'm very grateful for reading this because it does make a lot more sense, kind of knowing like what is behind it and how it relates. Connor, did I miss anything there? I'm kind of just explaining it.
I don't
I
think
did
so.
I did
Um,
summarize.
yeah, this was super helpful for me to read as well. The way that I think about it is it's like a rubber band, right? Where you're in the middle of that rubber band, and the farther you go away, right, the more you climb, the more it's going to try to kind of pull you back. And so you've got to prove that you deserve to be where you've climbed to. or where you fall into, right? By continuing to win or lose those games before your rubber band kind of resets its position. It's going to pull you back harder and harder the farther away it thinks it is from your true spot, which I think is great. You know, um, it's a good way to keep people playing with who they're going to have the highest likelihood of a good match with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
You know,
yeah, that rubber band, I never really thought about that way. That's a great vision on knowing how that MMR works. Um One thing to think about is that so for Smurfs, this makes Smurfing more often because it takes longer for people who make a second account to get to the rank they deserve because their MMR is pulling them back because they're a brand new account. Or if they throw a bunch of
uh,
games, then it puts them
totally.
back. So it's kind
So
of
do you think we're gonna
hard.
see? You think we'll see more Smurfing with this new information here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of Smurfs, like it's kind of known like that, lower MMR, like when you make a new account, you're gonna be in the lower tier. Um, but with this article, like people might get more aware of that and might make new accounts because they want to reset their MMR, which I think a lot of people do that for Smurfing. Like people who aren't really like wanting to just smack on kids, or kind of just want like a full fresh start. And maybe if you took a break from the game a long time and like, you're 2 acts behind, it's gonna be hard to really, get back into it, and everyone's gonna be a lot better than you because 'cause you're not used to the game. So that is an interesting thing. And another q I just wanted to ask, this is a Valorant podcast, but what do you know how the rank system worked on Overwatch? Was it any good over there? Was it kinda how, like, set up the same way? What was going on there?
There's a couple differences that they have. They don't have the rank. I think rank protection is what Valorant calls it, where you're on that last game right before you're going to D rank or stay in. So basically, kind of um, that tiebreaker game. It doesn't exist in Overwatch. You'll just get pulled down. The way that they do it is they have brackets, so you know what the bracket is. Say it's 2,000 points to 2,500 points is gold, right? Now, if you're out of that range for, I think it's 5 games. So if you spend 5 games out of that rank, whether it's uh, no, if you spend 5 games below that rank, it'll pull you out. Um, so you've got a lot to play with, but they're shorter games. It's a 10-minute game, so I think that this system probably makes a lot more sense. Playing 4 games, 4 matches of Valorant takes quite a while, so I think that it'd be really frustrating for people that want to see progress. It would take so long to see that progress. Um,
Mhm.
I like the way that they're doing it. I think that um, yeah, I think that it's pretty standard across all games. I haven't seen anything groundbreaking. Anytime you have a system like this, there's going to be people that are upset with it and people that are happy with it. You know.
Yeah. There's not really a good in between. Like, I think it's really hard to get a good ranking system, and like everyone will complain about it, and they have
Yep.
a right to. It is annoying sometimes. Um,
But the reality is that any game that you're allowed to D rank, people are going to get upset about.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
people don't
this
like
is very
being
true.
punished, but that's what makes a competitive game fun. So I think
Well,
that if you hop into the competitive scene, then you're signing up for that. You know.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of us have experienced, 10 games in a row of losing. What
Yeah,
was your biggest streak, man? I'm curious.
man. I had a big one a couple weeks ago, which brought me to my low point where I'm at now. I want to say it was 9. There might have been a couple unrated sprinkled in there because I'm not a total sadist, but it's rough, man. Chasing that W in solo queue is really hard.
Yeah. That's yeah,
Um,
that's dirty, man.
I'm really excited. Any silver or high bronzes in the chat, hop into that Flow State Gaming. I think it's LFG dash competitive. Looking for games. You know, it's way more fun. It's way more fun to lose with friends than play with a team that's yelling and screaming and happens to win. In my opinion.
Yeah, well, we do run into the toxic teammates very often. That is very true. One quick tip that I was reading on the rank system in Valorant. A lot of games have it's called MMR decay. So like the longer you don't play the game, over time your MMR is going to decrease and it's just slowly going to bring you down because you aren't playing the game that much. In Valorant that is not the case, so it doesn't matter if you take a fat break, you're going to come back with the same MMR. I know in Radiant that you'll obviously can get bumped down from there. And Immortal because it's in a kind of like a leaderboard type rank. But that's not your MMR. Your MMR will still be the same. So I did mention it, but for people who are still kind of confused, if you're playing a game and you like are going against, people with like an act rank of, I go against act ranks of like Immortal, and I'm in Diamond One, so they obviously like don't belong playing with me. But if you're a silver and you see a plat act rank plat playing with you, and then after that game, like you win and you go up 17, like you should feel pretty grateful to like kind of be with that spot because you kind of know that you're beating those people who are above you, or like you just played with a lobby that had better ranks than you all around, and you still went up, and you can kind of see that like if you're seeing plus 17, you know that your MMR is going to be coming up, which is what we want. So it's kind of a good thing to see that because you know that you're playing on the higher tier of your rank. Because if you're just seeing, if you're seeing a huge boost on just a normal game, you kind of know that you're still behind and you still need to catch up. How have you seen like if you've been playing recently, Connor? What's like the highest rank or like the lowest rank rating that you've received on a win? Have you been seeing pretty
Man,
decreasing on that?
yeah. So when I lost those, right after I lost those 10 games in a row, they started to give me minus 30 on my losses. And then I would get plus 10 or plus 12 on my wins. And that's hard. So I think that's right. I mean, if I'm
Wow.
getting this right, then that's telling me that I'm playing that it thinks that my level is lower than where I'm at. Am I
If
am
yeah,
I
yep.
getting that
If
right?
if you're winning and you're not receiving much, that's yeah.
Yeah, and
They think
that
your level's
started right
lower.
after they switched acts. So I'm curious if they changed something in the code, or maybe I just came back. I came back after playing 2 weeks, and a lot of those games I didn't warm up. So I think that definitely affects things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you see the graphic that Valorant posted here on the rank rating and how rank rating and MMR works?
Yeah, looking at the climb here.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned, but so guys, on Ask Valorant, it's just playvalorant.com. Their recent Ask Valorant. If you guys are curious, I would read this article, and they show a great graphic on kind of describing how it works. Um,
Yeah,
Pretty much just showing like how your MMR kind of acts with your rank, which is really interesting. So if you guys are interested, definitely check that out.
and I think
It's
that
very
this is
helpful.
really heartening, right? It's cool because it kind of gives you a little consolation. Like if you're having a rough time and it's bringing you down a bunch, um, that just means that you know you're you're actually doing all right, and you've been you're on the climb, believe it or not,
Yeah. Yeah, and
which
I
is great because
think
nobody wants to see -30.
no. That is pretty
Right?
brutal.
That's not what you want. You're like go to that skip scene and like you're waiting. You're waiting to see the for
I
the hammer to
know.
drop and it just slams you down. Um
Yeah, yeah, I know, and when you get to that, like, 0 mark, you know you're gonna derank too, like, it happens a lot quicker than I thought. Like, I'll
yeah,
win one and I feel safe, and then I'm back down to my derank game.
I
Um,
know.
yeah, you were talking you're telling me how that system isn't implemented in a lot of other games. I've seen it too, like, it's kind of rare when you kinda see that you're gonna derank or, like, you see your rank rating bar.
Yeah, and I I think it's important to show people because I think that well, I think it does two things, right? It lets you know where you stand. Um and I remember playing games where it doesn't show you, um, or playing Valorant before they had this implemented was super frustrating because I remember talking to he who shall not be named on the podcast, Filthy Carrot Farmer,
Eric
um,
Sullivan, Mattress, Oregon, white male. Sorry.
talking about playing what was it, 10 games and winning all of them, right? He's up, I can't remember what the number was, but he's up like 90 points or 90 upticks or something. Not 90. It was like 20. But a ton of upticks, right? And is still at the same rank. And so I think that it's it's really cool to see this so that you have a goal if you're close to that, right? You know how close you are. Um, and you've also got some, you've kind of got some boosted um, incentive to clutch that D rank game because you know that it's there. And I think that's huge for people's mentality. Nobody likes having the rug yanked out from under them.
Yeah, and it's funny because I usually play way better on my D rank games, or like at least my
Yeah,
personal, because I know it's gonna come, and I wanna stay above that water. Um, yeah, it's very the upticks are something very interesting. I was gonna mention that is that was based. So that actually wasn't really based on wins at all. They like the how they made it is like you aren't gonna go up in your MMR at all if you get match MVP and you lose a round at all.
yeah,
So
which
it
is
just
so
it counts
rough.
as like a yeah. And like before, if you could still get if you were match MVP and you lost it pretty badly, you could still like get like no down ticks at all. And like or if you did wipe someone out in your bottom frag, um it's like a 13-1 game, but you're on the bottom frag, like you're only getting one tick up. So it's interesting in that way, like how that was more on your personal performance, and they've really switched it and kind of flipped it around on us, where it's more of a team game, where like that win does matter, and now like teams do matter. Like you can't carry yourself all the way up to immortal radiant as
Yep.
well as you could because it's on that team, and like you need to get those 5 stacks. You need to queue up with these people to get that higher rank. What did you think about, like, in your personal opinion, what did you think about having it, like, based on your personal performance? Did you enjoy it more?
I do. I think that in my personal best version of this world. I think it would be both, right? You'd be able to see it, and then it would also be based on your personal performance. Because I'm not a competitive team sports person, but I'm really competitive with myself, right? So I know if I played a really good game or not, um, and I want that to be rewarded, right? I'm more likely you know to feel good or feel kind of bummed if I know that I did super well, right? Maybe I'm only middle of the leaderboard if I'm playing with people that are ranks whose ranks are higher than me. Um, but if I know that I played really well, I want to be rewarded for that. And I think that um, it's yeah, it's tricky to design a system that does all of that really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's very very difficult. Um for Overwatch, was it the same way in personal performance?
It's hard to tell. I don't think that they disclose very much of that. They go based on stats. So they're going to be comparing the character that you play, um, and those stats. So whatever you pumped out, however much damage or healing or kills or whatever you got, compared to the average player at your skill level that's playing that character. And if your stats are higher, then you're gonna um, you're gonna get more MMR
Yeah.
for that game, right? You're gonna get more points up.
And yeah, okay, yeah. That's kind of the personal performance, and I personally did enjoy the ticks. Like I didn't, it does suck like knowing that we're not, our MMR it's going down if we get an unlucky team and like someone who throws or someone who's smurfing and doesn't care about the game and they just don't care if they
Yeah.
lose and they just leave, they're really toxic. And like that's just like a weight on us. On everyone who plays Valorant like on the solo queue, it's you're not really getting anywhere, and
Yep.
there's not like a good solution for it right now because of this system. It limits our options to like carrying our team and becoming insanely good at the game, or like, five stacking and getting people, but
Right.
you have like the times where like I hop on at weird times, I wake up in the middle of the night after a blowout and I might want to play some more Valorant.
Right.
I get some
Right.
weird urges in the middle of the night, and I it's fun to play a game, but it's something kind of like it's a weight in my chest where it's like, wow, like this could be a sucky game and no one could be talking and I could have the worst time of my life and then it ruins the game.
Yeah, and especially if you don't have a bunch of like your if your friends are at different ranks than you are, then you don't have anybody to queue up with. I think that to answer kind of your earlier question of how has Overwatch dealt a little bit with that. They implemented queuing a little while ago, so it's role queue. So you pick the role that you want to play, and then it automatically shuffles you all so that you've got a team that's evenly balanced with players in each role. And I think that that's can lead to more balanced games. I think it definitely has, but I think that you also, like you said earlier, it takes away from some of the creativity. Maybe you want to run four duelists and and one sentinel. Um, I think it's cool to be able to do that, but I think that you know nobody wants to hop into a game and have the fifth player just just throw the game because they don't want to play smokes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's very true. And yeah, and also it's you are seeing like Diamond 3 plus you have to solo or duo queue in Valorant. Um so then it's like, well, at that level you don't really have to have a five stack cuz everyone kind of knows what they're doing, but you still like are kind of rolling dice. You still like might not get that the great like team or everyone wants to play, duelists, and I've been like I kind of talked to some people at that level and they are dealing with the same issues, which is really interesting because I kind of thought that it was more of like a mid to lower elo problem. It's kind of all around the board is kind of what we're seeing here. Like the rank system, it is definitely messed up, and like they definitely do need some changes. I'm not positive on how they're gonna fix it, but like the kind of the thing that I'm going for right now is just to like find a team. Like I think like just queue up with people if you're on the lower elo, if you're able to queue up with people. And Connor, they updated it 2 updates ago. They made the ranking distribution bigger, so you can queue in from Iron 1 to Silver 3. or silver
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, it's a
S-
big range now.
And that's a huge range, and like you can queue up with your. So they're making it more like okay, you can queue up with your friends more, but do you want to be carrying that iron one if you're in silver one? What?
Yeah, or
Go ahead, man.
sorry. Um, I think that to that point, on the other side of the coin, you might be thankful that you've got a gold one on your team. Um, but when they're carrying that hard, I think that it's still not an optimal game, right? Like even if you win that game because you've got somebody that's quite a few ranks higher than who you should be playing with. Um, like you get that win, but it's it's almost um, it's almost not fun because they're kind of just like they're playing the game more or less by themselves.
Yeah,
And the rest of you, you'll have a guy that's 30-5, and the rest of you are like 7-5.
I
That's
know.
it's
Yeah.
definitely not my favorite game of the day. I mean, I'm thankful for the W, but I think it's it's definitely not as rewarding.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
think
and
it.
you get like a lucky headshot, and you're grateful that that bullet landed, and you know that you
Right,
wouldn't have
yeah.
killed them in any other way because
You're praying to the RNG gods at that point, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Just
You're
10
hoping
in
those
every
bullets
round.
land. You're just spraying. Yeah. Well,
Yep,
that might be the dude. I mean, who knows? It might just be the stand still with a node and just
there you
spray.
go.
Hopefully, land some
That's
shots.
I've been missing out this whole time. Maybe I need to change up my strat.
That might be another option for you guys who are very desperate and are hoping to change things up there.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
we've got some questions around that as well. Um, I don't know if we want to
Yeah, let's
dig
move. We
into
can move on
those.
to those. Yeah.
Um, but I,
So
as a lowly pleb, I've got my questions for sure.
yeah, so I think just to summarize the rank system, we kind of just wanted to go over it, give like a brief summary about it, and just some thoughts behind it, maybe why you aren't receiving that rank rating, and then now we're just gonna have a little Q&A here. Just some questions. Anyone in the chat, if you guys have any questions at all, we would be happy to answer them. Just like broad questions, any ones you want, we would be happy to answer them. So Connor, go ahead.
Yeah. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, coming in here, it's a different game. I'm used to I think the abilities do the heavy lifting in some of the games that I've played, and this is definitely a gun-oriented game. It's definitely aim-based. Um, that one-tap headshot is huge, and so for people like me or people that are just hopping into Valorant as their first shooter, it can be pretty hardcore. Do you have any tips for people who don't have that great of aim? Is there a way for them to still climb, or is that basically just they're gonna have to grind that aim in aim lab you know for 30 minutes before every game before they're gonna see any improvement, or is there some sort of are there other things that you can leverage um, to still have value?
Yeah, so it's interesting because like Valorant, that's what they're or Riot, that's what they're wanting to go to is like, go for the team play style. And like if you're a sentinel with 5 kills at the end of the round, like that's fine. That doesn't matter as much because you helped your team being that sentinel. And that's why they're making it so it's just based off of wins. Um However, right now we're in a weird place, and like, yeah, you said like aim is definitely huge, and you have to get that aim to do something at least. There's kind of like a level where you want to just go on the range and just get. I would just work on your sensitivity and kind of like how comfortable you are like when you play. Get all of that dialed down. Make sure like you're feeling good with your mouse and like all of your settings. You don't want to be picking up your mouse too much, and you don't want your sensitivity to be too high if you're shaking and if you're nervous about that. making sure like your hardware and your in-game settings, your game's running really smooth with no lagging issues, and your mouse is really important. And then you can kind of work on that basic aim to build up that muscle memory. I know like Connor, you don't not many people want to spend, 2 hours every day in this like aim trainer because it's just not fun. Like you want to be playing the game, and if you don't want to spend that much time, like I would just play in a kind of like a ratty way. Like play Cypher and like practice trips and cages with him. Like I kind of played Cypher in some unrated, and I was messing around with like cages and tripwires and just playing off of them, like not hard peeking at all, and only peeking when someone like stepped in that tripwire and I got like a free kill because they can't even see
So
you
what
when
is
you're killing them.
so can you walk us through that a little bit more? Because you know, I'd love to kind of hear like when you're playing a cipher and you're saying play around your trips. What does that mean? Where are you placing your trips? What are you thinking? Is there something you're waiting for after you set the trip? What does that look like?
Yeah, so a lot of Cypher players, they mainly just they put a trip down, like a tripwire on split on B garage. If you're defending, they put a trip right like on that like the garage area, and then they put a cage right underneath that trip. So pretty much what they do is like they'll just be playing like backside, not even watching down that aisle at all, and they'll just wait
Mm-hmm.
until they hear the enemy, and once that trip hits, the enemy is going to be, you're going to be able to see him on the map or on your screen, and you can either wall bang it through a wall, or you can activate the cage, and the cage is going to block his vision from you, but you'll still be able to see him. So then you can just shoot him and get that free kill. So that's kind of just like a general thing. What I'm saying for like people who don't really have that aim is play in those ways where like they can't even see you pretty much, and play off angles where people don't expect you to be. And you kind of play Killjoy, Connor. Have you like used her abilities in any way to like pretty much just throw someone off guard where they have literally no idea where you're at, or they're, one tap, one shot away just because of your utility?
Totally. Yeah. So I really like playing. There's a fun setup on bind. Um, if you're defending, um, you can set up your bots just outside of the window where they have to jump out of in hookah. Um, and they can't see the bots or destroy them until they jump out because it's too far away for them to see the bots. Um, and I'll set an alarm bot there and a nano swarm right in front of it. And oftentimes that'll get the kill by itself because they're vulnerable, and then the nano swarm goes off. So as soon as I hear my nano swarm, um, or as soon as I hear the bot, then I'll trigger a nano swarm. And if there's anybody, or if there's multiple people pushing out, I can come out of maybe elbow and shoot them while they're distracted, or at least I know that they've taken a chunk of damage before they've even seen me. So especially with something like the Phantom where they can't see your tracers, or something that you can spray with like the Odin. Um, I think you're exactly right, and I've had good success because my aim's not great. Um, it's it's silver level aim at best. So I'm trying to leverage as much of that as I can before they even see me.
Yeah,
Um,
getting that upper hand is huge. If someone
I've
has
also
better
had
aim
success
than
with
you. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
shotguns. Yeah. That's
'Cause I'm not gonna
that's
win a gunfight against somebody who's looking at me,
no.
right?
Well,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna sit like a rat, and maybe I'll even ask a teammate um, to get their attention, and I'll hide in a corner so that if they walk past and my teammate gets their attention, they're not looking at me, and so I can just I can shotty them, and that's easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I've seen a jet peak the exact same angle for 5 rounds in a row, and 4 of those times he died.
Right.
like and like if you aren't winning those fights, you gotta back off. You gotta play different angles. I'm not like I know we mentioned Cypher and Killjoy, but it goes with every single agent, like even duelists. Don't play like you don't have to hard peek that angle. Um, and like Raze, you can use her utilities in more of like a defensive manner and like play for her boombot and grenade. I have been absolutely smacking with Raze sometimes. Dude,
So
her
when you say hard peak, sorry, what does that mean? Because I'm basically just I'm when I'm peeking something, I'm peeking it. I'm taking a good long look.
hard
Should I
peak
be doing that
hard peak
correctly?
I dude, I don't really know like any terms that I say. I kind of just say them.
Okay.
Hard peak, it's like, so I don't know. In my opinion, I think hard peaking is just like watching an angle watching an angle that's always played and that it's where like people are for sure going to come from, and you're kind of just
Okay. So
holding
you're
that
like
angle no matter what, and like
so
knowing
Unbind,
that someone's
you're
going to come there.
you're attacking, you're peeking like A short looking towards heaven.
Yeah,
Something like that, where, like, somebody's gonna be somewhere, whether they're on Tetris and the triple boxes or they're Heaven or they're, even Cubby. So that would be a
yeah.
hard peak where you're basically know that someone's gonna be there and you're taking a look.
Yeah, uh-huh, and it's just like it's kind of like dry peeking too is another term that I use, is like peeking an angle where you know someone's opping without throwing a flash or without throwing any utility, smoke, or anything like that,
So I
and that can
shouldn't be
really mess
doing
you
that.
up. Yeah, like if you know well, no, you shouldn't.
You're
Like
saying
it
that's a bad idea?
yeah, if a Phoenix has a flash, like have him flash if you know an op's gonna be there. Like
Yeah.
and also Lingo in the chat with a huge like I missed this completely, but he had little statement here: peeking versus jiggling versus swinging. Peeking with intention is really important, and you're very correct, man. Like, so you do have every single peek like matters. So like if you know an op is gonna be peeking this angle, you're attacking, and if you swing out, you know he's gonna take a shot at you. Um, you can jump peek, which is kind of like jiggling, or just kind of jiggle, like you kind of just show your body super quick, or like your shoulder, and then move back in the corner. Or a jump peek, we've mentioned it before in another episode, is kind of you can jump towards that angle and then like swing your mouse back around, and you can get vision and get a mini map view of where that enemy's at without showing your body for very long at all while you're in the air, so that you're going to be higher up and they won't be able to notice it as much. And they usually will miss their shot unless they get lucky and they have an insane reaction time. And then swinging. And swinging is like a lot of people they swing out far because people always expect them to peek really close. So if you know someone is watching an angle with like a vandal, and you have your buddy with you and you're gonna peek out, just say swing with me, and one guy's gonna hard swing out, and then one guy's just gonna like swing out but not as far, and it pretty much just throws the guy completely off. Like it's hard when you have two people peeking, one guy's going far, one guy's going close, and either you're going to be traded or both those guys are going to win that fight without dying. So
Mhm.
every peek you want to make sure you're doing it in the right way, not normally peeking, dry peeking and op. And that's
Yep.
kind of what I
Yep.
mean by hard peeking, is just making like peeking dumb angles that everyone usually plays, and kind of just like committing to that angle and just showing your body the entire time.
Right. You're on autopilot.
Yeah, and you're pretty much just like hoping that your shot's gonna land, and if it doesn't, you're gonna die. Unless you're your jet or you have some utility, or you're gonna make it out of there with 20 health. Because if two people swing on you, you're not gonna make it out of there. Um,
Right.
so
Right.
that's a kind of an answer to your question, hopefully.
And another thing that I think I've seen quite a bit at lower elos, mine included, is I think some people have the idea of swinging together, um, and I'll see them do it, and it happens more often than you'd think, where they say swinging together, and they swing together at the same time and get collateraled, and it kills me every time. If
Yeah.
you're swinging with somebody, you know, wait, either make sure that you're ahead of them, or wait for a second, because there's nothing worse than, going for something that should be a trade and giving them 2 kills
Yeah, that's very true.
because
And
you're
and the,
lined
and the
up.
front guy, whoever's in front, should be swinging out far and going for that wide swing. And if you die, like that's fine because your teammate's gonna trade that. It's
Mhm.
that's not a bad call. It's this game is really based on trades a lot of the times. Having the numbers is very important. So if your
Yep.
aim isn't that great, you can also swing with a buddy and kind of be a body block. Don't play by yourself like peeking an angle because more than likely you're gonna die from that and you're not gonna be able to get that kill. So just have someone peek with you.
Mhm. And I think that, a huge thing, if there's one thing that I think is super helpful, for a team when you're solo queuing, don't be afraid to ask for things. I run into this a ton for myself. I'm kind of shy on the comms, and I think that just people love being asked, um, to to help them, right? If you're calling for a Phoenix Flash or smokes or whatever, that's huge. Nobody's a mind reader, and I think that sometimes all it takes is for you to ask, "Hey, would you peek with this with me?" Or could we get a flash here? Because sometimes people don't think of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just calling out a simple ability is not that hard. Doesn't require too much communication. And in our communication episode, that episode it didn't go very well for Coulter and I, but pinging is very useful. You can also do like the pushing in 1, 2, 3 if you don't want to use your comms. That's very helpful.
Hmm.
Another like quick tip is just pinging on your mini map. I know like it's kind of like straightforward, but I would use it a lot more, guys. A lot of you Omen players, I've played with a lot of Omens recently, and if you're gonna use your flash, just like tab or caps lock, look at the map and ping where you want to flash, and you can see where that height of that floor is, and you'll know where your flash is gonna go. Because a lot of flashers, they always flash like the Omen will literally flash straight through the ground and it doesn't hit a single person because he thinks
Hmm.
that like straightforward is the ground, but in reality, elevation changes will wreck you because you don't expect it. So just
I
pinging on
think.
the map for a lot of things is really important.
Yep,
And
and Sova players also. Sorry, just
yeah,
to add to that. So the Sova ultimate, I see a lot of people, um, missing their Sova ultimate just because they don't know what the elevation change looks like
hmm yeah, that's
for where they're aiming at.
for sure. Do you want to move on to your? I think. Do you have another question?
Yeah. So I have this issue, and this especially crops up, when I'm trying to play a new agent, but I still run into it all the time, where I'll get killed trying to use my abilities. Um, is there something that I can do? I'll pull out my bot, and we're maybe in the middle of a firefight, or maybe something's just about to start happening. I'll pull out my bot to set it up to catch somebody, and somebody swings me every time. It seems like, and they get that easy kill. Is there a way for me to, I don't know, use my abilities better, or is there a good indicator for like when I should or shouldn't use them? Because I feel like I get tapped all the time, and I've just got my abilities out.
Yeah. That happens to me all the time, man. I play Raze and or switching to Raze, she has a lot of like abilities that you do have to like peek out and expose yourself. I One thing that I've found out useful is just like jiggling a corner really quick is helpful, and also like jump peeking. You can kind of like jump an angle and get like a tiny bit of like a couple frames of view, and you can use your
Hmm.
utility. And it kind of like with some people, and you can kind of just expose yourself less while using your ability. Also, like I've realized always whenever I play a new agent, I always think her abilities or like their abilities I have to use. And like if I don't use their abilities, then I'm not gonna be doing good, or like it's I have to be using them no matter what. And like that's not the case, like it's an aiming game down to the bones, and just play them like it's your main agent. Like don't rely on their abilities too much. If you see, like, I would only do it if you see an opportunity for that ability to give you the upper hand and make it more useful for you. So like if you don't want a Sova just to be darting something that there's not a single person there that you already cleared. There's no point to put that utility there because it's just going to be wasteful. And I think a lot of like lower elo people struggle with that, is that they just like utility dump when there's no point to. Um, if someone shoots like a sage wall a couple times, you don't have to slow or right it like right away. You can wait till you hear their footsteps or get more info before you dump your utility. A lot of teams and a lot of people, they'll play default and then they kind of just like push up a little bit and kind of just make the other team use your utility, and they can usually catch, a sage with her slow orb out, and she's just like running around frantic because she sees four people who kill her because you're there vulnerable. So I would only use your abilities like when you really think they'll benefit you, and I would just kind of like don't rely on them as much as you do. Like
Okay.
as time goes on, you'll be better with your utility. It just comes with time.
Yep. So just not getting caught up in it
Yeah.
when I'm queuing a new agent. I definitely feel that. I think that there's pressure, right, that we put on
Mhm.
ourselves to use those abilities. Otherwise, why do we switch?
Yeah.
And it's exciting. It's something new. Um, but I can't tell you how many times I've been killed in Cypher's cam.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just looking through the camera and somebody whacks me. So that's huge to kind of remember, not to rely on that a ton.
And getting used to people's abilities is always important too. Like, just tapping the cipher cam really quick and you'll be able to see if anyone's there in a, split
Yep.
second. Like yeah, like if you're in the cipher cam a lot, you're kind of like relying on his utility to see everywhere, or like to get that vision when you're on the other side of the map.
Hmm.
Use your utility when you know you're safe.
To add on to that question, do you have do you have kind of like a are there any landmarks or milestones that you keep in mind, before you take a new agent to competitive? Because I'll usually, play 'em on unrated and kind of try to figure them out. Is there a good time when you feel comfortable taking a new agent to competitive, or is that kind of a case by case basis?
It's like, yeah, I don't like getting into Raze. I always played her in like unrated when I didn't really want to play my main. I think unrated is a great place to go because you get like that competitive feel of things, and like on how like that agent is played in like a full on match. Um, it also like goes on like the abilities. Just yeah, I would like try to use them a lot in like unrated or like practice. Like in the practice range, it's like really huge. If you're gonna practice a new agent, just run around in the range and just throw a bunch of utility down. Just practice as much as you want,
Just to get kind of familiar
just
with
to get
with
familiar
how
with it.
everything works, and yeah, what that grenade arc looks like.
Because even like the Phoenix Fire, you can like that thing drops, and you have like you can even get some lineups for Phoenix on like for bomb sites or like cubbies, and you don't have to expose yourself at all. And like knowing those little things like that are really useful. So kind of just playing around with them.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, having switched from being a game that is rewarding a little bit more of that personal prowess versus now it's very much a team game when that W counts more towards your MMR than anything. I think those lineups are huge, right? Because that's the difference between, you could be bottom fragging, but having that lineup might be the difference between winning and losing the game.
Yeah.
If you know where to throw it so that they can't defuse, that's a round winner for sure.
And that's what you notice, like with like Sova and Viper, they have just, they have insane lineups. And like, if someone does have those lineups, you can do a 1v4 just by holding the bomb with her snake bites. So that does go a very long ways, and you can do a ton of. And like you said, like if you're playing a Sentinel, Connor, and like you're solo queuing, um, knowing like certain things where you can like help like your entire team out without that communication, like for like post plant, that definitely does help your team a lot. Because like you don't have to communicate it with them because like
Mm-hmm.
you already have that lined up and you're ready to go. You can just ping where they should plant for your lineup, and then you should be good to go.
Yep, which is huge because I'm not going to win that 1v4, right?
No.
Without my utility. I'm not Jet, I'm not Raze. I'm not going to, I'm not built for that. So I
Yeah.
think that's huge. Well, I've got a couple more questions here. I don't know what chat looks like. Do you want me to just kind of fire these
Yeah.
off?
Yeah, go
I'm
for it.
not sure if there's a time limit here, but I was curious. So second round buy, is there? I have a ton of games where we we'll lose the first round, and then the second round everybody's buying stingers, or um, or even a Marshall with its reduced price now. Is that a good idea? Is that something where we're trying to just kind of to bring that back? Is that risk, is taking that bet that you're going to win that round worth it in your opinion, or should that be a save round?
In my opinion, I have been usually always saving if I lose the first round, always saving
Okay.
second if I do lose, and then always buying, or like I would say 75% of the time I'm buying if I win the first round. Because if you buy second round with specters and full shields, I mean, it's usually you're probably gonna win that second round, and then if you do,
Yep.
that team has guns, but you do have like a round with specters, and you can buy the next round. So if you do
Mm-hmm.
win that round, it's gonna smack the other team's economy like completely because they're at the very bottom and you guys have guns, so you don't have to buy. It's a huge economy boost if you do win that third round.
So
But
you definitely buy if you win the first round, and you save pretty much always if you don't win that first round.
yeah, that's like what I do, and I usually just go off my team. It's just like I usually just ask, like, hey, like, are we buying or are we saving? And you have like the one person that does a full buy, no one else buys. So it kind of just
Is
depends.
there Yeah, I mean, is there a scenario where you would change up that logic, where for whatever reason you're buying despite losing the first round? Is there a scenario where that makes sense, or
I
is that
mean,
pretty much
I think if it's
cut and
like
dried?
if it's like last round, or if it's like down to it's like if they have 11 rounds on you and you only have like a couple wins, you're obviously
Gotcha.
going to be buying. You obviously want to
Rather
buy
than
out.
resetting, yeah, and trying to stay on the same page and buying
Yeah,
full next round. That makes sense.
you just don't want to waste as many rounds, and just like you can also save with like shotties. Shotties are pretty insane right now. The Bucky, so on your pings, guys, if you're playing shotguns, if you're playing the Bucky, if you ping and it tells you like how many meters you're away from it, if you're in like that 8 meter range, that right click is going to be an instant kill for you guys. Use those pings to gauge that distance. And that
Oh,
right
that's
click,
clever.
you'll be able to know when to right click and to left click with the Bucky.
So is that from 0 to 8 meters is a right click,
I No, zero
or
zero
left
to
click?
like 8 or 0 to 6. It's left click.
is left click, and then anything beyond that, you'll go
Yeah,
right
anything
click.
beyond like 7 meters, or I think it's 8 meters. I'm not positive. It's right click.
Okay. Okay. That's huge because that's, you can almost always buy that Bucky if it's not your first round.
Yeah.
And I've seen people ace with them on gun rounds,
Mm-hmm.
where everybody else has Vandals or Phantoms, and people go nuts with it, especially if you've got some sort of mobility, or if you're able to hold an angle where they're not looking. Those things are
Yeah.
just insane right now.
Yeah, and just like playing like ratty, like just playing in those like playing weird, um, kind of just weird ways. Like I have almost always gotten a Bucky on a save round, and I just play like an angle where I know like they're gonna die by a right click. If someone peeks it, like that's a Vandal that you can get, and then that's a full buy for you on a
Totally.
save. So pretty
Which is
important to use
actually
that.
insane, right? I mean, if you think about that, spending whatever you're spending, whether it's 800 or maybe you go 1200 for Bucky and full shields, and coming out of it with a Vandal is massive.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah. Did you? So I got a question. Um, I have gotten, and I've had this happen a couple different times, where I'll try to I'll basically be waiting. I'm waiting to peek an enemy, um, and I'm up close to a corner, um, and I'm pretty sure that they can't see me because I can't see them, and I'll get shot. I'll get shot before I can see them. What's going on there? Because I literally haven't even seen. I haven't seen them peek. I haven't seen anything, and are they able to see me at that close angle, or what's happening there? Because it's super frustrating. Like I have no idea what happens.
I mean, I think it like comes down to it's kind of weird because like I saw this one article on like how much ping matters. If someone has like such a low ping, they're gonna be able to like be able to see you before. Um, it's sometimes like some people, if you're like running and you run peak an angle like or with audio, and if they can hear you, they're gonna pre-fire it usually.
Okay.
So they might be pre-firing you, which that might be what it is. But I mean, sometimes you do see like, okay, how do they see me there? And it's always
Yeah.
like a question on, like was that straight luck or what are you doing there?
Totally. So how often, I mean, are you pre-firing all the times? When are you doing that? Because I don't see anybody, at my elo, nobody pre-fires, right? Like everybody's you're basically like waiting to see the whites of their eyes before you're firing at all. Um, what scenarios are you pre-firing those angles, and when are you spraying?
Pretty much like, dude,
Spraying.
always whenever like I hear an enemy run an angle, if they're like sprinting, I'll usually pre-fire. If you can hear them, then like I would always pre-fire. If you don't know they're gonna
Okay.
be there, then like I'm not just gonna fire at random, hoping it's gonna get a kill, but I'll usually like wall bang or like shoot through smokes if I think someone's gonna be there. Shooting through smokes is really important. A lot of people don't do it enough, or a lot of people don't do it that much. Is just like blind firing through smoke, or like just wall banging a wall where like some cubbies or where people play. I've also like pinging on the map, pinging a certain area, and then if you're behind a wall that you can wall bang, just shooting like above that ping, and like you can ping a cubby where someone's gonna be at, and then just fire that wall. And if you're not gonna get a kill, then they're not there. So
Right, but basically taking the chance that it's more advantageous to pre-fire it than it is to dry swing it and get
yeah,
zapped.
yeah, and like I mean like yeah, definitely for like angles that you don't if like angles that people play all the time, definitely like pre-fire it. Um, sometimes if I'm pushing a site, and like I'll usually like take some shots and angles where people are playing a lot that round.
Okay.
just
So
in case,
keeping a
so I'm kind of
mental
prepared.
mental
Yeah.
catalog of kind of where they're playing.
Yeah, like pushing in hookah, if someone always plays left side, I'll usually like swing, just shoot where their head would be. And then if they're gonna be there, just gonna hold down my, my mouse and be able to kill them because I have that reaction time because I'm already there.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, that's huge. I had some questions, and these aren't in our notes here. But like if I'm playing I've been practicing Astra, right? Um, does it make sense for me to, as a smokes player, pick up the Phantom instead of the Vandal? I usually use a Vandal. Um, does it make sense to pick up a Phantom just for those no trace bullets, or is that pretty much,
For
you
the
know,
no trace bullets, I'm not really
just a preference
I
thing?
haven't noticed it too much. I guess I can kind of tell, like, it is, like, a little harder to see where they're coming from, but I would just play, like, it depends on the map and depends on the agent that you're playing. For smoke agents, I do like phantoms better just because, like, I sometimes play around smokes, like, I'll play that close angle. If you're playing close
Mhm.
angles, like, that phantom's gonna give you better usage because 'cause you're getting that one-tap headshot with the faster fire rate and the chance to spray a lot more.
Mhm. Mhm.
So with a Vandal, like Icebox, you have very long angles that you have to like shoot at, and you have to land those headshots, and that's where I'm using a Vandal. I'm using a Vandal with like Raise if I'm peeking a long angle on Ascent. I'll usually like kind of choose my gun on where I'm going to be playing, what I'm going to be playing, if I'm playing smokes and whatnot. And I do switch
Totally.
it up. Like in our Vandal and Phantom episode, it definitely like they're both really, really good guns. They're not like, and one's not insanely overpowered over the other. And if you're really good at the Vandal, you're gonna be also good at the Phantom. They just work a little different that you just kind of have to get used to. And I've played both of them with them quite a bit, and I kind of know how each of them act, so I can kind of switch back and forth with them, which I usually do.
Just depending on, yeah, the situation.
Yeah.
That's huge. Well, I think that's probably it for questions that I had. That's been huge. I'm excited to take that to my matches this week.
Sweet man. Yeah, it's definitely like yeah, it's hard to talk about a lot of like questions because they definitely like it matters with a lot of things. There's a lot of variables that go into it. It depends on a lot of things, like if you're having a team, if you're not having a team, if you're what agent you're playing. Definitely, have a lot of effects with that. So if you guys
Yeah.
got some information from that, I hope you guys have. If not, and if you guys just don't really care about this podcast, just go play Fortnite because we don't want you here.
Yeah, we've got a man's over there that'll take you. He'll
Yeah,
he'll happily
we
accept you
have
into
good
his
old
his grubby little
Sea
arms.
Dog who just will spread his sweat all over you boys and let you guys join into the sweaty Fortnite swines. Well, Connor, is that it, man? Did I
I
kind of
think
help you out
so.
a little bit there?
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. I'm just I'm ready. I think that I need to go and pick up a Bucky and maybe play some smarter angles there. I've been
It's
losing my gun battles lately, so I feel ready. I feel ready to just hide like the rat I am, and eventually, maybe I'll be able to climb up to the castle and nibble on some of those crumbs.
well, like, exactly, man. Exactly. You have to
I'm
do
ready.
what you need to.
My mouth is open and I'm ready. Just sprinkle a little love this direction,
Yeah,
you
and,
know?
and dude, Coulter is a great example though. Like it is kind of nice that he did leave us because we can look at him and just see how far grabbing onto the back brings you.
Well,
And
and there's
how
room at the table, right? Like that spot has been vacated and that
well,
place on the bench is warm.
no, I don't think so, man. I'm not
Yeah,
opening it up
let's
for
let's be
anyone.
real. It's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while before I'm
Well,
able to climb to that level.
Yeah, and I mean that chair is probably going to be filled up again next week. Little
That's fair.
spoiler for you boys.
A little spoiler. He has not fallen
We
off the
might
face of
see
the
the
earth.
Sea Dog return. I mean, it may have been over exaggerating on the Fortnite a little bit too much.
It's good. I think we all miss him. I think we're ready to hear his beautiful intro.
Yeah,
Um,
I
hopefully
know.
next week.
I think he's basking in the sunlight of Arizona right now. For those who are curious,
Makes sense.
he's
He's got to keep those vocal cords warm and loose.
well, he's he's rubbing those nipples, pouring maple
Hmm.
syrup over them and licking them dry. I think
He's preparing.
he's preparing for a hard Valorant grind.
Yep. Yep. I love it. I love all that.
Well, Connor, thank you for joining us, man. It was great talking to you. I'm glad I was able to answer some questions. I'm not good at this. I'm not that great at this game at all. But like, I hopefully I was able to give you something. You know.
I love hearing just a little peek into the mind of a plat player. So every little bit helps for sure. I very much appreciate it. Thanks for being so willing to answer my grilling.
Well, it's always a pleasure. You know, it's always a pleasure. Um, Connor Schweitzer here, the filthy, dirty, nasty ginger with that sexy beard. Thank you again, man. You are the man. You really helped me out here, guys. You have been listening to the Flow State Gaming Podcast, episode 21, where Connor and I talked about the ranking system in Valorant and how it works, how it acts, and then also giving you some little tips into the little tips into the low elo and how to rise those ranks again. Next week is going to be a spicy one, so get ready. Hold on to those cheeks. It's going to be a big and long ride. Be here live at flow_state_gaming to see it all come to action and to come to light. I'm headed out, and it has been real. Peace.